What if your greatest fear becomes the very moment that defines your faith? When blood is drawn, trust is tested in the darkness of the night. Only a single lantern can guide you home. This is a story from a time of great change, set in the sands surrounding the city of Medina, then known as Yathrib. In a small caravan town lived a young blacksmith named Zahir ibn Mu. He was a man of immense strength, but known more for his gentle heart. His hands, though calloused from the hammer and forge, were always ready to help the weak. One moonless night, whispers of a gathering reached Zahir's ears. A woman named Farisah bint Khalid, a companion of the Prophet, was speaking a new message, a message of justice, mercy, and unwavering belief. The next morning, with his hammer still warm, Zahir felt a pull he couldn't ignore. He went to listen. Farisah's words were not of ease or comfort. She spoke of the trials ahead, betrayal, loss, and exile. Yet her voice carried a profound truth that stirred Zahir's very soul. He listened, and in his heart a seed of faith was planted. That day Zahir committed himself to this new path. Months passed. The small community of believers grew, and with it a shadow of opposition. The local tribal chief, Ibrahim al-Sarim, saw this new movement as a threat to his authority. He was a man who ruled with an iron fist and wasn't about to let go. He began to conspire, hiring men to sow chaos and fear. One evening, that chaos found Zahir. His forge was raided, his tools stolen, his young apprentice brutally beaten. Zahir rushed to help, his heart pounding with rage and grief. But he soon realized the attackers were merely pawns, sent to deliver a message. The real danger was far deeper, lurking in the shadows. To keep their spirits alive, Farisah organized secret gatherings in the caves outside the city. It was there, under the shelter of rock and darkness, that they found strength and unity. But on one fateful night, as the believers huddled together, a voice shattered the peace. "You will be silenced." Ibrahim's men descended upon them. In the ensuing chaos, Farisah was struck down and dragged away, a captive. Zahir watched, frozen for a moment, his heart tearing in two, powerless. But that feeling didn't last. Fueled by a desperate courage, Zahir gathered a small group of believers. They would not abandon Farisah. They tracked her captors into the vast, silent dunes, guided only by the stars above. A battle erupted under the desert sky, a whirlwind of steel and sand. Blows were exchanged, cries echoed in the night, and then, a cry that pierced Zahir's soul. His closest friend, Hazan al-Ajmi, fell. Zahir rushed to his side, holding him as his life faded. With his last breath, Hazan whispered, "Stay strong, the lantern still burns." They rescued Farisah, but the cost was immeasurable. They returned to Medina, bloodied and shaken, but their spirits, though wounded, were not broken. Back in the city, doubt began to creep into the hearts of many. "Why is this happening to us?" they asked. "We only seek peace." Standing before them, her own wounds still fresh, Farisah spoke with a clarity that cut through their fear. "This is the way of the path. It is paved with hardship, with sacrifice, with unwavering faith. The light of God shines brightest in the deepest darkness." Listening to her words, Zahir felt his grief transform into resolve. The months that followed were a test for everyone. Zahir rebuilt his forge, its fires burning hotter than ever. He used his earnings not for himself, but to feed the wounded and shelter the orphaned children left behind. Farisah became a beacon of hope, her voice a constant reminder that true victory isn't found in avoiding sacrifice, but in persevering through it. Years went by. The community, forged in the crucible of loss, grew stronger. At a reunion, Zahir stood beside Farisah, the memory of Hazan still vivid in his heart. The forge was thriving, a symbol of their resilience. The lantern of faith, once threatened, now burned brightly for all to see. Even Ibrahim al-Sarim, the chief, had been moved by their mercy and forgiveness, and had begun to seek dialogue. The opposition hadn't vanished, but the believers were now anchored in a trust that could not be shaken. In his old age, Zahir would often tell the story. That night, he'd say, his voice thick with emotion, "When I saw my friend fall, I thought the lantern would go out forever. But instead, it shone brighter than I could have ever imagined, because the light wasn't coming from my strength, it was coming from faith in him. Trials are not the opposite of faith. They are the fire in which faith is refined. And when your own lantern seems about to flicker out, remember this: it is precisely in the dark that light is needed most. Thanks for joining us on this journey. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires the heart. Stay strong and keep your light shining.